Hello, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for a chess game. I'm going to try and get a training game in here on my lunch break. E4. So let's play a Sicilian. Now I've really played all the Sicilians. Um, Recently I've been playing Paulson a lot. Um, it's been a while since I played the D6 structures and the dragon or knight orf. And I've also played the Sveshnikov and Kalashnikov structures. So um, I'm going to stick with Paulson for now. Maybe I'll go with a Kan. Yeah, I'll go with a Kan Sicilian. Maybe transpose into a time on off hedgehog structure type of thing. Just hunker down and make white prove it. Um, so the point of pushing these two pawns is so that I get this queen move here, and the knight can't come in and attack the queen. From here, the queen is very strong on this diagonal. Next, I'm gonna think about pushing or not pushing, developing the knight to f6, attacking here. Um, yeah, that's a normal idea that I see in the Kan. Usually see it first, but he developed his bishop here to defend the knight first. Um, I'm gonna develop my knight. I think I want to develop my other knight and wait. Sometimes in these E6 Sicilian structures, I get a position where I end up wanting to leave my king in the center. Um, I'm not in a real rush to castle. I mean, I'm going to develop my bishops somewhere here or here, c5 or b4. But first, I think I'm going to develop. That's interesting. He doesn't want me to pin. That's why he developed the knight there. Okay. We'll just get the other knight out. Ask him if he wants to trade. Normally, I can't recall the specific reason, but in the Kan, a lot of the times I end up taking back with the D pawn. D takes c6. And that's not usually the method, like the way you want to go about it. Normally I'd want to take with the B pawn, take towards the center and strengthen the center, but I certainly not in, I don't think in this position I want to take with the D pawn and take away from the center. I think I want to take towards. Is there a reason I should take away from the center? I don't think so. I know there's a main line somewhere where in the con where I should take back with the D pawn, but it just makes sense to not do that here. Um, so I can fianchetto this. That's the only development square for the bishop at the moment. Could think about pushing d5. Doesn't have this push because I can take. So he can take and I can take back and have two pawns in the center. And he'll have these 3-on-1 over here on the queen side. Not technically, I mean, technically it is a 3-on-1, but I'll have the D pawn to help, you know, keep this C pawn at bay. Um, this bishop development here or here. I might invite that. If I go bishop to d6, he has knight f or pawn to f4. And he's threatening this. I also have rook to b8, attacking the b2 pawn. Get our bishop developed. Pretty clear that that's where I want my bishop. I suppose pushing was a valid option as well. I'm not entirely sure where I want this bishop just yet. I think e7 is probably going to be the safest bet. Or I may want to push in the center and just challenge that center. I think f4 is still a valid move for him. I think that's a good idea. He might have ideas of, no, maybe queen e2. Seems like a reasonable move, pressuring the lonely a pawn. Those are his two candidates. Not there. Queen there. Queen e2 or f4, I think, are his most reasonable moves. If he goes f4, could just develop the bishop to e7. I don't have bishop to d6. You can push f5, threaten to bust it open, and I just castle. Okay. You got this push, but that would be a step towards improving my bishop. I'm okay with that. My only development for the knight would be over here, though. I think I want a pawn there more than I want the knight there. Though I can break in the center here still. And that bishop would hang at the moment, so he'd need to retreat it. I keep grabbing space. That would really clamp down on the center. C4, D5, C takes. So D5, C takes, C takes, and maybe E5. I think I need to break the center now because my knight has run out of squares to go. If he pushes this pawn now, I don't have knight to D5. I have to retreat because the queen has these squares. The bishop and the knight has this square. So I need to break to create this retreat for my knight. If he takes with C and I take with C, and then he pushes, he pushes immediately. Is he gonna? Okay. I mean, he can't push because I have the knight and the bishop on that square. He could leave the tension there, I suppose. See if I want to take. Taking allows me, I mean, that helps me. So maybe he just leaves the tension. I have this idea of swapping off dark square bishops, but my dark square bishop is my better bishop. If I were going to trade bishops, I'd like to get rid of this one. Or maybe I can, if he leaves the tension, I can push C5. I don't know if that's really threatening D4 though, because that leaves this hole for the knight. That improves my bishop greatly though. I just don't know if I can afford to let the knight get there and here or here. A knight in one of those squares might be a problem. I give up the bishop for it. Okay. At some point, I'm going to think about castling, but there are no immediate, like, pressing matters. All the action's in the center, and that's where I want to keep my attention because um, it's still unclear to him where my king's going to be. If I castle, I may be castling into, clear ideas for him. Push F4, F5. So he retreats the bishop to avoid this pawn push. Maybe I bring my rook to the middle and threaten to open up, then that might actually mean a little bit. That allows him to develop, oh, the knight there and then bring the knight here. I would like to avoid that. White has a space edge. This pawn gives him a bit more space. My position's a little cramped. Um, I think I need to get castles. I do. I need to just get my rooks connected so that I can decide where I want my rooks. This file is half open and I may want a rook on that. So it would be silly to move my rook here when I want it to be back here. Yeah, let's get castled. I've noticed in rewatching some of these, like, um, my whole point in starting these videos is was to try and talk out my thinking process and to catch where the errors in my thinking process occur so I can improve my game. And I'm hopeful that somebody else will find benefit in these as well. It's amazing all of the resources that are out there for chess now. Hopefully somebody of a, you know, lower skill level wants to improve and can find some benefit in these. Maybe even a higher skill level, who knows? Some of my games are high quality, some of them are not, which is why I kind of just plateaued in this area, in this rating area. 1750 is where I'm at the moment. Never played my opponent before, but he joined in March of this year. Okay, so he does bring the queen in and threaten this immediate checkmate. So my only option is to block. I can block with the G pawn, I can block with the F pawn. F pawn gets to take en passant, resume the same threat, and threaten my bishop. So this is the only move that, well, I could have created a hook on the H file as well. But this attacks the queen. Kind of bolsters the support of F5 as well. If he wants to push F5, I've got some extra support on that. Dark square weaknesses, though. It's the name of the game here, dark square weaknesses. So I'm probably going to want to shift my rook off there and get my bishop back over here to cover those weaknesses. Okay. What's my worst piece? This knight isn't doing much. Where would I like the knight? Maybe right here. Could I just redeploy the knight? That's an idea. This was my king knight, wasn't it? Came here and then came here, here. That's a heck of a journey for the night. I think that might be my idea, though. It would temporarily block this bishop's line of sight, but if takes, I can take back with the pawn. Everything is held together there. I think that's my idea. I want to improve this knight. Not an easy move to play, but it does have clear purpose of getting my knight to a better square. Oh, shoot. No. Almost pre-moved that. And I don't like to pre-move unless it's a capture. If I'm pre-moving, it's going to be an automatic like capture, so that if it doesn't occur, if it's not a legal move, then you're not bound to it. But ooh, okay. So what's White's plan? I should have thought about White's plan before I continue with mine. I think he wants to maybe bring his knight in here and threaten. I can swap that off though. If I do though, I'm going to be stuck with these dark square weaknesses. So if I have to trade off bishop for knight, he's got this bishop. Suppose I can lift the pawn and the queen will protect this entry square here. Should I take a moment and do that now? If he takes en passant, I take back with the bishop, threaten the rook. Stuck with this weak e6 pawn. Maybe I can take here and just snap this knight off. It's going to leave him with a very ugly structure. I'm not opening this hole up anymore for the knight. That was my whole reason for maintaining the tension. But now I can take here, and if he takes the time to do this, I can take threatening the queen. Sorry, my arrows are a little wild today, but the bishop is still attacked, so that's my move. Time to open the center. And take this knight. The bishop blocks the rook, so he's got to take back with the pawn. And his structure is messy. And I retain my dark square bishop to protect my weaknesses. Does allow him to open up the G file and reposition what might be a pretty stout attack. But I've got a knight plan now. So let's get that knight moving. I want to sing Bob Seger every time I say that. Knight moves. Working on a knight moves. Good song. Everybody should listen to a little Bob Seger every once in a while. Okay, so he's brought his rook over, and he's gonna take with the knight or with the bishop if I move there and win the pawn. So maybe I challenge. with my rook now, and I'm going to use this rook to free up this bishop and kick the queen if necessary. Resume my idea of knight d4. So materials equal. I have an isolated weakness over here on the C file. We both have 3 pawn islands. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. He's got the bishop pair, but all these pawns make it awfully cluttered, so my knight is still quite useful. From here, I'm also have an idea of coming back here. I mean, he'll likely move his bishop to free up the rook to protect this. Maybe he'll bring the bishop back. Maybe he'll lift the king. I don't know, all of those are options to protect it. Lifting the king doesn't seem reasonable. The bishop is more active here, because he may be threatening to push here. And I don't want to open up my G file, but taking here opens up this pin. And with a little king shift and a rook reposition, I'm facing a pretty serious attack there. Okay. He is thinking about that. Maybe I liquidate a pair of rooks just to get counterplay off the board. Like, not counterplay, attack. Like, he's clearly on the attack. He has an open file. He's got his queen over here by my king. His bishop is on the attack. My pieces are on the defense. So I'm kind of inclined to liquidate pieces. Let's trade a pair of rooks. Can't abandon this pawn just yet. I suppose I could actually, and then I just swing the rook back over and I pick up this pawn. So tactical defense. It appears to be hanging, but if he takes it, I just swing the rook back, although he trade rooks. So if I move the rook here, he checks. I take with the queen. This pawn hangs, but the queen checks. Bishop blocks. Queen checks. Yeah, that's a nasty position there. That's nasty. So I don't think this pawn hangs. This is a he can't immediately take that. If he does, I take the rook. Repositions the rook. I've got time to push the pawn. And if I get my knight here, I'm threatening to come here. He can't push f5 because my knight's protecting it. He may be faced with a choice of trading his dark square bishop, which I would welcome, because then my bishop defends this much better without his bishop to oppose me. So I'm happy to trade my knight for that bishop from a defensive perspective. And I am on the defense at the moment. So his king is more exposed if we get into an endgame of queens. So His queen's all the way over here. My queen has a quicker opportunity to start gobbling up pawns if we get into an end game. Although opponent is under a minute now. I didn't realize he was using so much time. Okay. Okay. He lifts the rook. Can I just take it? Or, yeah, I think I just take it. I think I want to take it because I can still give up this. And I've got this. Maybe. I think my queen activity is a bit better, and I'm going to pick up the pawn again. So I think I take this. He takes. And now I put my knight here. And we have a minor piece and queen and game-ish. I don't know if this is okay. Okay, so we're going into bishops of opposite color. And my queen is active and his is not. I'm going to threaten this pawn. He's going to defend it, push it. And then I'm going to come here and threaten this bishop. And he can defend the pawn, but that allows me to push mine. Ooh, does he have a sack? Did I miss a sack? Oh, no, I don't think so, because if he'd sacked, I could have checked. And king here and queen here, and maybe, I don't know, I'll have to look back at that during the post-mortem. He might have had a sack there. I don't know if he did or not. And I just start getting my king centralized, maybe? Let's put that on a dark square so that that is not takeable anymore. Tries to inch his king closer. Got this. He comes here. I've got queen over here. He's got to go back. So maybe he comes this way. Yeah. Okay. Having this queen tied down to keeping this pawn from queening is crippling for white here. This is black is completely winning, I believe, in this position, even though material's equal because this queen is locked down. I want to and I want to bring the queen here to trade queens. The problem is bishop comes back here to defend the queen. And queen trade, bishop takes, and I can never push this pawn and promote it. And I'm stuck defending my bishop. I've got to get my king in. to start gobbling up the pawns that are on some of these weak squares. So I mean, it might be drawish. It'll be hard to win, but I think black is winning here. It's just a matter of converting, and that is the hard part of chess is converting a winning endgame. If this is indeed winning. What about queen here? And the threat is queen here with check. That would force a queen trade. But no, then the bishop gets back in time to stop the pawn. So check here, maybe. I think I'm coming here to keep the to keep the king tied to defending this pawn. But now can I come up here and threaten this pawn? I think, and if he tries to push it, I mean, I've got these checks here, and his king is boxed up in a nice little corner. I think this is the move. Yep. Good game, fella. That was a very interesting game, uh, which I won positionally. I always feel really good about my positional wins because honestly, I think that is my weakest, one of my weaker areas. Now I say a lot of areas are my weakest, like endgame is pretty weak, but I feel like I see more tactics, and I used to be a much more tactical player, relying on chaos and just creating tactical opportunities. But I have been able to win some very good games positionally, which I kind of feel like has mellowed out my chess game a bit. So the Kan, that's still a book line. Okay. I wasn't familiar with that book line, but that's a good move. Good moves. Error, mistake here. Inaccuracy. I felt like that the only purpose behind that move was to prevent the pin here. But I don't know if White's really that worried about the pin. I think there's adequate defense for that. So what is White's best move? Just push the pawn. Yeah. Okay. Push the pawn. Lamp down on d4, d5 immediately. Okay. Didn't like my knight development as much either. That was inaccurate. So other ideas. Other ideas here. I felt like developing the bishop was premature, but because if I develop it here, it just gets kicked. Maybe I develop it here. Maybe that's the move. And I forgot to hit the best move button. Or the retry button. Retry. Excellent. It's an excellent move, developing the bishop, preparing castling, getting the king out of the middle. But I kind of knew developing the knight that potentially I was going to leave my king in the center. So it was an inaccuracy I accepted. Excellent move to take the knight. Excellent move to take back with the B pawn instead of the D pawn. That is not a knight. That's a bishop, a short bishop. Okay, that bishop move was inaccurate also. Bishop E7. So what do I want to do instead with that bishop? Maybe I want to break in the center immediately. Maybe that is also inaccurate. Give me one more shot at this. We don't want to break in the center. Allow him to push. I don't want to just passively develop my bishop here either. What about this idea? Attacking the knight, but really thinking about repositioning here. Ah, that's a flat out mistake. So I'm getting worse. C5. That looks like a good move. Now that the computer has shown it to me, that looks like a very good move. Opens up my bishop. Yeah, okay. I can see the purpose in that. Blunts this bishop. Puts pressure on the E4 pawn. So the bishop and knight are tied down to its defense, although he can push it. If he does, I can swing the knight here and attack the undefended bishop. All right, solid move. I like it. White has a 0.8 edge here, and it was a inaccuracy for me to break in the center. Probably should have gotten castled immediately. A mistake. Should not have gotten castled immediately. Let's see here. Is it still just C5? Opening up this bishop? I think it probably is. Yeah, just get that bishop opened up and yeah, that's the best move, C5. Put pressure on this, although wait a minute, I don't have, where's my knight going? So if he pushes, I have to retreat the knight here, and it still calls that the best move. Wow. I suppose I can reposition the bishop and snake my knight back up in here. It's a lot of maneuvering. But Stockfish knows best, I guess. I finally find the C5 move. I didn't like my knight redeployment either. I thought that was a good idea. I mean, that appeared to be my worst piece. Why not improve it? So let's retry this. What is the idea here? Maybe it is to kick the queen out. It's probably going to want my rook here. Excellent. It's an excellent move. What's the best move? Taking. Taking in the center, really. I really didn't. I mean, so he's got to take back immediately, but um, I didn't like the idea of the knight coming here. Although at the moment the bishop can be traded off for the knight, I win a pawn, but I didn't want to trade this dark square bishop. After you fianchetto, like this pawn structure craves a dark square bishop here. Um, and it's not like written in stone or anything. There's definitely exceptions to that rule, but I'm very hesitant to trade off this bishop when I have the weaknesses here. It will take him some time to realize those weaknesses. It's only his queen at the moment. But I could see his bishop coming in pretty quickly. Okay. Next. That was an error. And that was an excellent move. I'm glad I found that. It took me a minute to find, but that does allow me to just snap that knight off. And that was a miss. He should not have taken back. He shouldn't have taken back. What should he have done? I'm up material here if he doesn't take back. A miss. Taking back is a miss. I don't see his idea. Like, does he just push the pawn, plow forward? That's a blunder. So what's the idea here? Okay. Don't I end up material here? It says white has an edge in this position, but I need to understand this a second. Oh, okay. I'm starting to see now, actually. If I take the time, see, if I save this bishop, just say I bring it all the way back. That's mate in 3. Mate in 3. Because the bishop's coming here, defended by this pawn. If bishop takes, pawn takes, mate is unstoppable on g7. So, that was a miss. Let's go back to our review. And if bishop h7, so that was a blunder. If I take the time to take this, then he's got the rook lift. And it's not mate in 3, but white still has an edge here. My bishop is hanging, and if I take the time to save it, this is mate. Oh, it's not immediate, but I've got to create a hole for my king to start running, and he's gonna win material back here, I'm pretty sure. Once he gets his other rook on this file and cuts me off, that's a monstrous attack. So I have to give him back my bishop to keep the game equal. It wants me to play bishop or knight to d7. Knight going back to d7. To get my rook out of the way and come back here and defend this square. Yeah, okay. So that's a hard move to find. It is a hard move to find when your opponent takes this knight and you feel like you're just down material and you need to take back in order to get it. That is while I was working with my chess coach, I got a lot better about spotting those, but it's been a little while and I have fallen off my game a little bit. Don't always just snap take back, even if it appears that you have to. Sometimes the best move is not to take back. Okay. So was I right to trade? Yes, I was. Get those rooks off the board and go into an end game. It didn't like my knight development there. It says that's a mistake. And black has a 0.6 edge. Let's go to the review, find out what's going on here exactly. Maybe this? I don't, that doesn't look right. Maybe queen here. Nope, doesn't like that. No, attack the bishop and the back rank simultaneously. Okay. Black has a 2.4 edge here. I gave up a little bit there. But once I get my pawn up here, this is game over. The queen is tied down, and what should white have done? Where did white lose their way? Black has a 2-point edge here. We still have a pawn edge here, but this is a miss that gave me a bigger advantage. And yeah, plowing forward here. That's a tough move to find also, because I'm just going to take that with the knight. But that brings it back down under a pawn, almost equal. I take with this, just take with the pawn and maintain the still under a pawn. That's just the best move. It just keeps sometimes chess.com, your engine. Okay. Well, thanks for watching some chess with me. It was a fun game. Hope you come back and watch some more.